Hi friends! I thought of a fun project and maybe you want to make it home. It's one of the most popular toys in the whole projects lab. It's this sandwich that I made a couple years ago, and I made it out of wood, and it still tastes great. I thought you could make this at home. This would be a fun project, and it's a good toy to play with. You're going to need some cardboard. I just have a pizza box. And I have a bunch of colored paper. If you don't have colored paper, that's fine. You can use white paper and just color it with your pens or markers or whatever you do have around the house. I'm going to use the cardboard to be the bread. So first thing I'm going to do is figure out what I want my toast to look like, and I'm going to make a good plan and draw it out. So maybe you want to take a look at a real piece of bread to see how big it is. Ask for some help, and we're only going to make one piece at a time, and I'll tell you why in a second. But I'm going to trace this one. But you could trace your real piece of bread if you wanted to. All right. There's my line. And in this video, I'm going to use the fast motion to make it shorter. So sometimes you're going to see me cutting super fast, but you go super slow and you take care when you cut and use the scissors, okay? So here we go. I'm going to cut out my first piece of bread. I'm going to cut out the big piece first, and then I'm going to trim off the edges. That will make it much easier to do. I'm using the brown cardboard for the bread because it looks more like bread, except for that side, but that's going to be on the inside. That looks tasty. I don't know what that is, but it looks pretty good. So the reason I didn't cut both pieces out first is I want to make sure that my two pieces of bread are the same. So that one I cut out like that, so I'm going to turn it over now, and I'm going to trace it, and then I'm going to cut it out. So, because when you get a loaf of bread, you know, the pieces are the same next to each other. So it's all there, it's traced out. I'm going to cut it big first and then cut off the details. And now I have my two pieces of bread, and you notice how they fold into each other just so to make two pieces of bread. So the first piece that I'm going to make is, I think, I'm going to use the red paper to make a tomato. And tomatoes are usually circles, and I want my tomato to fit right inside of my sandwich. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of just trace this. And then I'm going to figure out how big of a circle for the tomato I can be. I want a nice big round tomato. How about that? Can you guys see that circle that I drew? And I'm going to cut it out. Now, let me ask you a question. Does this look like a tomato? No, it looks like a red piece of paper. You have to add details to make it look like a tomato. So I'm going to get a marker, and I'm going to make this look a little bit more like a tomato. So a tomato has kind of, and then has some seeds in it. That looks more like a tomato. So I'm going to put my tomato on my sandwich. And I have my first layer. I think I need some mustard on my sandwich. So now here's a trick. I'm going to trace my sandwich again, just like we did with the tomato. But this time, when I cut it, I don't want to cut on the edges. I want to cut inside the edges, because you don't want the mustard and the mayo to slip out the sides. So you want to make it a little bit smaller. So I'm going to draw a line that goes around the inside like that. And that's my mustard. Okay, I'm going to cut that up. There's my mustard. I'm going to put my mustard on my sandwich. And now I think I want some mayo on my sandwich. So I'm going to use some white paper for the mayo. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to trace it. I'm going to trim this. There's my mayonnaise. I'm going to put the mayonnaise on my sandwich. My tomato. What's next? What's next do I need? I need some delicious lettuce on my sandwich. So again, I want my lettuce to fit perfectly. I'm just going to trace this again. Now, that's the size of it, but my lettuce doesn't look like bread, so I'm going to make my lettuce look like, I guess like this kind of thing. Maybe 3 pieces of lettuce. Okay, I'm going to trim that out. Okay, there's some lettuce. Now, does that just look like lettuce? Does that look like lettuce to you? No, it doesn't look like lettuce to me. I'm going to make this look a little bit more like lettuce. It's looking like lettuce. It's all about the details. You know, the difference between a green piece of paper and lettuce is it's everything. All I did was draw some lines on there. The difference between a red piece of paper and a tomato is the details you put on it. That's what makes it look realistic. So now my sandwich is really coming together here. Got some lettuce, got some mayo. Yummy. I think I want some cheese. I'm going to have pink cheese today. I don't know what kind of cheese pink cheese is, but that's what kind of cheese I'm having today. There's no rules. You can have pink cheese if you want to have pink cheese. Actually, yeah. So I'm going to make this. Cheese usually seems to come pretty square. So I'm just going to, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out a square of cheese that looks like this. About that size. Does this look like cheese? Looks like a pink square piece of paper. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this into Swiss cheese by cutting out some holes in it. Because Swiss cheese has holes in it. All right, now that's just the edges, but to make the inside holes, what you do is you fold it a little bit like this. Not too much, just a little bit. And now you cut out some half circles. Definitely starting to look like Swiss cheese. Maybe need a smaller hole over here. All right, that's looking pretty good. Okay, so now I got some Swiss cheese. Now, what else should I put on? What else should I put on my sandwich to make it yummy? How about a piece of ham? You can put whatever you want. You can have a veggie sandwich if you want. You don't have to have any ham on it at all. Anyway, so there's my. So I'm just gonna cut out a piece of ham here. Maybe put some details on there. Make it look a little bit more like ham sandwich. Ooh, some ham. All right. What else could I put on there? Oh, I don't know. Why don't you surprise me and put something on surprising? All right, so let's look and see what my sandwich looks like. So I've got 2 pieces of bread, and I'm gonna put some cheese on one side, and I'm gonna put some mayo on the other side, and then I've got some lettuce on one side here, and some tomato on that side, and some cheese and some ham, and I'm gonna put it all together and make that delicious sandwich. I think there's one thing missing. I think I need a plate, because you can't just have a sandwich. You can't just have a sandwich on your table, can you? That's not sanitary. So I have to have some. I'm just gonna remember how big my. So I need to make a plate about that big. Doesn't that look delicious? A nice sandwich served on a plate. I'm going to have a bite, and in just a second I'll eat this up. And I just want to remind you that if somebody helped you today, please say thank you to them and give them a big hug. Okay? It was very nice of them to help you out. So I hope you enjoyed this, making this, and if you make it, I would love to see a picture of your sandwich that you made, okay? So I'm gonna eat lunch now, and I'll see you all later.